Hello, Chicago, and welcome back on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Got a lot going on in the show here tonight. We've got a couple of kids making their major league debuts on both sides of town. How did Cade Horton and Tim Elko do for the Cubs and White Sox, respectively? We'll talk about that. The Bulls found out where they're picking in the NBA draft. Earlier tonight, we will be discussing 12th overall, right where they were. So what might we expect from the Bulls? What could we look at getting out of them? And the Bears had rookie minicamp over the weekend. Who impressed? Does any of it mean anything for the team? And why on earth is the NFL schedule release such a thing? All that and more right here, right now on Chi-Town Weekly. Buckle on up, everybody. Let's have some fun. And hello again, and welcome on in, everybody. I am your host, Adam Karnick. You have found your way into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We do this little thing we call the show every single Monday night right here at this time, 7 o'clock Central. Thank you to everybody tuning in live. And thank you to everybody that is listening in later on the week as a podcast. Got a lot to get to on the show here tonight. A lot of sports related stuff, some serious stuff, and we get to have a little bit of fun at the end of the show too. Lots to get to here on tonight. We'll be starting things off with baseball, then moving our way into basketball, and finally finishing things off with some football discussion. So a lot to do, not a whole lot of time to do it. But first, before we go anywhere, we've got to have a quick word from our sponsors. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back, breaking down the new boys in town, Cade Horton and Tim Elko, right after this. IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick back with you here. Want to say thank you again to each one of our sponsors there: Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, Vital Apparel, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, and of course then IE Sports Radio, the platform that makes this show and all the other ones on the network possible. You heard how to follow along with IE Sports Radio there on all the social media platforms. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and on YouTube at IE Sports Radio. And when you subscribe on YouTube, just drop a comment that Chi-Town Weekly is why you subscribed. We like to keep score, keep track that way. So it just gives us a little feather on our cap. So thank you. You can also follow along. This show is available for you as well on Twitter. We are at IESRC, or you can follow along with me personally. I am at Adam_Karnick for you on Twitter as well. And if you are watching live tonight across Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, be sure to interact and have some fun with us in the chat room. We've got a couple people in there already. Ralph Calise, good evening. We're going to try our best to have a great show tonight. And my mom is in the chat room. Happy Mother's Day, by the way. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Hope you had a good one yesterday. Be sure to hang out with us in the chat room where we can have some fun and interact there as well. So I know the big news of the hour right now is the Bulls and the NBA draft lottery. We will get to that, but I wanted to start things off with some baseball talk because we had a couple of kids make their major league debuts over the weekend, and I just wanted to bring those up and talk about those a little bit. We'll start with the Northsiders. They are in action tonight against the Marlins. End of the second, no score there at Wrigley Field. Cubs had a rough weekend out in the Big Apple, dropped 2 out of 3 to the Mets, but Cade Horton came up and made his Cubs debut. They brought up their top pitching prospect, and he was impressive in his Cubs debut. Did not start the game on Saturday night. That honor went to Brad Keller in an opener role, just pitched the first inning, went 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 right in line. And then Horton came out after that and through the second through fifth innings for the Cubs. 4 innings, did give up 4 hits, including a 3-run home run. But the big numbers, 5 strikeouts, and the big goose egg, no walks issued by Cade Horton on Saturday night. That was the big one there for the Cubs, as Cade Horton was able to hit the strike zone and hit it consistently with all 3 of his pitches. Had some success. Again, the 5 punch outs. Yes, he did give up 3 runs, gave up a 3-run bomb in his debut, but you're going to have that. Welcome to the major leagues, kid. You're going to have moments like that. All in all, though, an impressive debut for the young man. Cubs are going to need him. They are absolutely going to need him with Shota Imanaga being down on the injured list for another couple weeks. Of course, no Justin Steele at all for the rest of the season. Their pitching depth is getting tested very, very early. And so Horton, you're going to see him in the rotation now for the next couple weeks at the very least. 77 pitches overall on Saturday night. They had said when they brought him up that he'd probably be right around a 75 pitch limit. Sure enough, 77 pitches in 4 innings. That's outstanding. That is efficient. That is getting work done. 49 strikes, 28 balls, but no walks. Absolutely no walks. And I would expect to see him be a regular starter in the rotation going forward. The next time they would need him, they would probably be Friday. They have not announced a starter for Friday against the White Sox, and they host the Sox for 3 games this weekend. I would not be surprised at all if Cade Horton goes on Friday afternoon against the White Sox at Wrigley Field. That would be right in line, I would think. That would be right in line there. In the meantime, they've got the Marlins now for 3 games. Now the Marlins played in Chicago already over the weekend against the White Sox. We'll talk about that a little bit here in a moment. So the Marlins getting the rare 6-day trip to Chicago. You actually kind of like, I would imagine you kind of like that as a player. You come in and you can get kind of settled a little bit. It's not just 3 days and then you're out and on to the next city. You get a chance to spread your legs and relax a little bit. Not as good as a home stand. Obviously, you'd always rather be at home for those 6 days, but at least you're not living on a plane. You are in a city for a good solid week there. So that's kind of nice there. So they won't need Horton. I would not expect Horton to throw in either of the next 3 games against the Marlins, but then I would expect to see him Friday against the White Sox would be my guess, going up against Sam Smith. And I would expect to see him just get the straight start there and that as well, to just see him start that game and the Sox not have to use an opener for that one. The Cubs weren't the only ones though to have a young man make a debut and make a splash in the debut as well. Tim Elko, there had been talk with the Sox for the last couple weeks about bringing him up. They've got the night off tonight, do the White Sox, but Tim Elko was officially brought up over the weekend, made his major league debut on Saturday against the Marlins. His first start at first base didn't go great. 0 for 3 in his major league debut. Didn't produce at the plate very much. Did an okay job out in the field at first base, but then the big one was Sunday afternoon. He got his first major league hit, and it absolutely counted in a big way. A big 3-run home run to give the Sox, to at the time break a tie with the Marlins. It was tied up at 1 apiece in the bottom of the 6th inning when Elko hit that 3-run bomb to left field, and that gave the Sox a 4-1 lead that they would not relinquish, as they wound up winning the game 4-2. So Tim Elko, that's why they brought him up. That was the talk the last couple of weeks is, look, you've got this kid who's down there in the minors, and he is raking. He is hitting bombs. He is hitting home runs everywhere you look. Just what are you waiting for? You have a lackluster offense. You have an offense that is dead on its feet. He's not doing any good down there. You may as well bring him up and see what he can do. And right away, the first weekend, the first series you bring him up, it pays dividends. It pays off with a big 3-run homer. That's more than you're getting out of Andrew Vaughn, though Vaughn has picked up the last couple days, maybe in part because he was hearing all the Elko discussion. So good on the Sox for bringing him up, and good on the Sox for getting him into the lineup right away. That was the problem last year with the White Sox, is they brought up a couple of players and then just would have them sit on the bench and not do anything. It was, why are you bothering? Why bother to bring these kids up if you're not going to actually use them out there? So good on the Sox. They've obviously still got a long ways to go, sitting at just 12-29, but they're making moves and decisions that make sense overall right now. You can understand where they're coming from with this. Want to get caught up in the chat room here real quick. Mike, over from Let's Wide About DMV Sports, but also one of the co-hosts of the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, commented the Cubs are looking good. Absolutely. A little bit of trouble over the weekend with the Mets. Unfortunately, dropped that series into their second straight series loss. But I heard a great one this morning. We've been talking a lot about how the Cubs have had such a difficult, as far as the schedule is, to their season so far. Their next 41 games, I believe I saw, as I'm going to pull up the Cubs schedule here just to make sure that I've got that right. But I believe, as I heard it correctly, it's their next 41 games are all against teams that are currently under 500. So we could see the Cubs start to build. Okay, I'm sorry, not 41. I did mishear that. 21. Their next 21, which is still, you'll take that. 21 games against teams that are all sub 500 coming up. That's an opportunity for you to stack some wins, get some series, get some less stressful wins under your belt as an organization, and take some of the pressure off. For the White Sox, meanwhile, they've got the night off tonight. They are getting ready this week. They're going to be taking on the Reds here down in Cincinnati tomorrow for 3 games, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then they come back to town, but it'll technically be, on a road trip as they go up to the north side and take on the Cubs at Wrigley for 3 this weekend. And then they get to come home for 6 games next week. So a nice little spot for the White Sox here. We'll see what they can do. We'll see what Elko can do. I would imagine, you should be seeing him in the lineup. 4 of the games this week, if not 5 or maybe even all 6. That's why you brought him up. You want to give him the at bat, see what he can do. I'd love to see him in a minimum 5 of the games this week. That would mean a lot to me. Oh, and hello, Nancy Duke saying hello over on Facebook. She got to see my son today. Oh, thank you. Yes. My 2-year-old son just being as 2-year-old as humanly possible at all times. At all times. We are going to take ourselves our first break of the night here tonight. And when we come back, the NBA draft lottery went on tonight. The Bulls needed a miracle. They didn't get it. They are going to be at 12 overall on the draft. We will discuss that as well as who they might then be looking at 12 overall next. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be right back after this.
IE Sports Radio fans, it's your boy, the SoCal Saint, the host of the premier professional wrestling podcast online today, the IE Elite Wrestling Show. If you're a fan and have a passion for the world of professional wrestling, this is the show for you. I take you inside the ropes with all the athleticism, high-flying, and hard-hitting action, and then we take it backstage with all the backstage drama and backstabbing that goes on in the world of professional wrestling today. If something's going on in the world of professional wrestling, rest assured, the SoCal Saint knows what's going on, and he's going to let you know too. If you're a fan, check us out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on IE Sports Radio. The IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling, on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports. Check us out.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Notorious Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Thank you, Jess. Apparently, I had my microphone off that entire time. All right. Well, then 3, 2, 1. Let's reset. The NBA draft lottery was this evening, and the Bulls had a chance, a very, very, very slim, slight, small chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. It was a 1.8% chance of getting it. Not great odds. We talked about that in the week leading up to this, that, okay, yeah, they might, but realistically, they're not going to get it. You'd love to see them move up into the top 4. They had slightly better, they basically a 2 in 25 chance of moving into the top 4. Okay. All right. Let's see what you can do. Instead, they wind up staying exactly where they were at 12. What makes it frustrating for the Bulls, what makes it really frustrating is the team that did get the number 1 overall pick tonight, the Dallas Mavericks, had the same odds of getting the number 1 overall pick as the Bulls. And in fact, it came down to a coin toss. Bulls or Mavericks, and the Mavericks won the coin toss tonight. That is frustrating on so many levels for the Bulls because of what it points to and indicates with this organization, that they recognize that they're not really in a position to win. They really aren't, but they don't do the needed necessary steps to fix that problem. They keep insisting on living in this middle ground, living in this horrible NBA universe where you're not good enough to get out of the play-in round, but you're not bad enough to actually get into the draft lottery where you can find a player that might be able to help you, that might be able to lift you up out of this mire and muck and bleh that you're in. There's 2 ways to do it. You can either spend like crazy and spend all of the money, go into the luxury tax and spend like crazy and hope that whatever you get pulls you out. Maybe a Giannis Antetokounmpo, who announced earlier today that he is going to seek a trade. Maybe there's something there that you can entice Milwaukee with. Maybe, probably not. Let's face it, the usual suspects are all in play there. Los Angeles, Miami, New York. Oh boy, there's a shocker there. We really needed the hard hitting, deep dive, investigative sports journalism there to figure out where he'd like to go. And then the other way is you tank. You just get rid of everything that isn't a young, positive, productive player and get whatever you can for it. Take Mike's approach, take Mike from the DMV with the Washington Wizards approach of collect all of the second round picks, get all the second round picks there. The Mike Pat approach of all the second round picks you can in the hopes of flipping them or turning them into pieces or just doing something to try to make your team better. Instead, the Bulls are just stuck in this middle ground. And this is one thing where I don't blame the Reinsdorfs for not wanting to go into the luxury tax. Look, this is a bad team. You go into the luxury tax, and what does that get you? Okay, well, we won the play-in tournament. Great. Now we got to be the 8th seed and get blasted out by Cleveland in the first round. Oh boy, what fun that is. But on the flip side, you could have sold off some pieces. You could have traded away some guys at the deadline to increase your odds with this lottery right here and now, and they just keep not doing that. It is infuriating where the Bulls just insist on living with this organization. They've got to figure out something. I'm not saying that you've got to fire everybody and you got to get rid of Karnisovitz and you got to get rid of Eversley and you got to get rid of the Reinsdorfs and this, that, or the other. No, you just have to be willing to pick a lane. You have to be willing to let the team sink all the way, let it get all the way to the bottom so that you can get back. They keep insisting on putting this thing on just enough life support that you stay below the surface of the water, but you just don't run out of oxygen. You just don't run out of oxygen. You don't actually get down to the bottom where you can boost yourself back up and propel back up. You're just stuck floating there with about 8 feet of water above you the whole time. With about 10 feet below to get to the bottom and 8 feet above you to try to get to the top. And there's nothing you can do there to get out of it. It is so frustrating with this organization. So all right there at 12, who might they target? What might they be looking at number 12? Well, we're going to go over we'll get a couple of names here, and we'll start over with the 4-letter network. They immediately after the draft lottery came out, the 4-letter network came out with their first round, their mock draft right out of the gate. And the player that they put there was Igor Demon, a guard out of Brigham Young University. He's a freshman. He's a freshman guard. Oh boy, not a great start here in the scouting report. He's a polarizing prospect. Oh boy, just what you want to. More theoretical in nature than some would hope in terms of the productivity, consistency, and bankable skills he can hang his hat on early in his NBA career. Oh boy, this is just instilling me with confidence right out of the gate. He's 6'9". Apparently doesn't have a terrific 3-point shot. Wonderful. So we've got a guard that you hope can be a point guard and be a quarterback. Okay, well, that's something the Bulls, and they need everything. So, okay, that's still a thing that you need, but okay. Some other guys kind of in that range that you're looking at, they have going at number 11 to Portland, Derek Queen, a center out of Maryland, a freshman center out of Maryland. Boy, you'd like that if that fell to you there. At number 13, the Hawks, courtesy of the Sacramento Kings, are taking another guard, Michigan State freshman Jace Richardson. Honestly, I think I'd like that move a little bit better than taking Demon. I think I'd like Richardson a little bit better there. You just saw more good things, I think, this season. Oh, hello, Larry. Good evening. Glad you could make it in as we are. I'm channeling my inner Larry with this segment, talking about the Bulls as we're talking about all the ways that we need to fix them. And golly, why can't this organization just figure it out? A lot like your rants about the Raiders. Very similar to your Raiders rants, Larry. Some other potential prospects that you could see. So some other potential guys that you could see for this draft. Obviously Cooper Flagg is going to go number 1. That's a given. That's the guy that everybody's had there going at number 1 for a long time. Let's see, CBS. Now they put this out yesterday before we knew the draft results. But hey, the Bulls didn't move, so it could stay the same. They have the Bulls taking Derek Queen, the freshman center out of Maryland. I'd like that. I'll put it this way: the Igor Demon. I don't like the sounds of that at all. Just the polarizing prospect. That's not what I want to read about my first round pick. Yes, I know it's the NBA. Yes, I know it's outside of the top 10. So your odds of really landing a true, honest to goodness stud aren't really all that great. That NBA drafts tend to be very thin in nature. We'll do one more here. We'll head over to Yahoo and see who they have going at number 12 overall. And this is updated for the results of the draft lottery. They have Derek Queen going at 8 to the Brooklyn Nets. So if Queen were to fall to 12, that would, you would think out of the gate, that's an excellent steal there. First of all, they have Jace Richardson from Michigan State going there. And if you're going to go guard and if Richardson is on the board, that feels like a much better pick to me. 6'3". Okay. That's a little on the short side for the NBA, but I'll live with it. You can go with that. You can have better results there. Yeah. And Yahoo, scrolling down to Igor Demon, they have him going 14th, and they have their NBA comparison as Josh Giddey. You already have one of those as the Bulls. You don't need another one of those. Go with, somebody like a Jace Richardson. Your comparison would be Derek White or Rip Hamilton. I want that a little bit more than a piece you already have. Give me something you don't have already. Though, if Derek Queen falls there, man, I'd love that. I'd love that for the Bulls. I would be all on board and all in favor of that. But the miracle did not come through for the Bulls. They stay right there at 12. We did have some kind of fun NBA news, though. We got word earlier today from the man himself that Michael Jordan is going to be doing some television work for NBC this upcoming season as an analyst for NBC, as NBC is getting back into the NBA slate. First of all, I'll be 100% honest here. This had missed me. I had missed completely that NBC was getting the NBA back. First of all, I hope that they bring back Round Ball Rock. That was an awesome song. That is, to me, when I think of watching the NBA, that's the song that pops into my head. That is for my generation. I think that is the song that we think of. That was always such a cool intro song to have that. Not to say that they shouldn't come up with fresh music, but I do hope that they come up with some way to use Round Ball Rock in some way or another. But we've seen MJ do some, obviously the career with the Bulls, and we'll just ignore the part with the Wizards there at the end. That didn't happen. That didn't exist. We've seen him as an owner. We've seen him in NASCAR. We haven't really seen him do television work before. I think this is going to be kind of cool. He's obviously he's somebody that is still very much a huge name in the NBA. For my generation and older, do we love to make the argument that MJ's the greatest and nobody's even close. I hate that argument. The game is different to me. Do I think that MJ is the greatest of all time? Of course I do. I'm a Chicago fan. Of course I do. But I hate the knee-jerk reflexive nature of that argument that you can't name anybody else. Sure, you can. You can throw some current names in there. Why not? That's fun. That's part of the fun of it. But we haven't seen him do TV work before. I gotta believe he would be one of the guys behind the desk in the studio. I would think that would have to be the role they would carve out for him. I can't see him being a sideline reporter or doing the man in the street style interviews. I can't see that. His personality is just too big for that. I got to believe that he would be, and I can't really hear him being a color commentator. Maybe that's what he'd want to do. Maybe that's the role they'd have carved out for him. But my first gut instinct would be he would be one of the men behind the desk in the studio would be the role for him. Maybe you'd have him do some sit down interviews with some players, but that would be as much about MJ as it would be about those players then. But still, good for MJ, good for NBC. That's a terrific get for NBC to get still one of the premier faces of the NBA to help bring some legitimacy to their doing NBA work this coming season. Speaking of doing work, we're going to take one more break. And then on the flip side, we're going to talk Bears. We're going to talk rookies. They had the rookie minicamp over the weekend and some guys impressed. We will talk about that next here on Chi-Town Weekly, part of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be right back after this.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Mike from Indie Sports Nation. Come hang out with me each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, where we talk things Indiana sports. We talk Colts, Pacers, Fever, Indy Ignite, and we dive into the college scene as well. Boilermakers, Hoosiers, Irish, Bulldogs, and every school in between. And we don't stop there. We'll sprinkle in some NHRA and cover the IndyCar series. From the turf to the hardwood to the track, we got you covered. Come hang out with your boy, Big Mike, each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Indie Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode. And welcome back on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I do love that music from the Neutral Zone. If you are at all into hockey, and if you're not, you should be, check out myself and Zach Puplis every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Central Time, as we break down everything going on in the hockey world. If you are a fan at all of playoffs, I know there have been some blowouts in the NBA playoffs. I know there have also been some pretty major upsets going on, but if you are at all a playoff fan, my gosh, the NHL playoffs, just, they take everything to a whole new level. You've got to check it out. You have got to check it out. And Zach and I break down everything going on in the hockey world every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Central Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Just closing the gap real quick, kind of closing up the lid on that last conversation, talking about the Bulls. CBS did come out with its post NBA draft lottery mock, and they do have Derek Queen to the Bulls there as well. That is a pick that if he falls that far, I do like that one. That's something as we get closer, we'll be talking some hoops, and that'll be something we'll bring in some basketball people, because you know that when I talk basketball on this show, it is with a certain handicap. We'll put it that way. So we'll make a point to bring on some good basketball people, and we will preview that for you. So Derek Queen, a couple spots having Derek Queen. I do not like that ego demon at all that ESPN put out. You know, that I do not like that pick. Sam, I am. But let's switch gears one last time now, shall we? Da Bears. Let's talk some football. The Bears had as pretty much every single NFL team this weekend did. Bears had their mini camp for rookies over the weekend. First of all, they came out healthy, or at least as healthy as they came in. Nobody tore an ACL. Nobody shattered nobody tore a major muscle. Nobody shattered any bones. Everybody came out healthy. That's the important part right there. Nobody got hurt. But there were some things that looked good and felt good about it. First of all, we got some more insight into Colston Loveland. You can peg new Bears offensive coordinator Declan Doyle as firmly in the camp of how and why Colston Loveland got picked to the Bears at 10 overall. Declan, last year when he was with the Broncos, he was doing some of their draft prep work for Denver, and Loveland was one of the guys that he had his eyes on and commented that, ooh, that's somebody that I hope that I'll get to work with. So you can firmly entrench new offensive coordinator Declan Doyle as somebody that was pounding the table for Colston Loveland to come to the Bears. Luther Burden also had himself a very nice camp, a good job making some nice catches. He had one of the plays that the Bears social media team grabbed and posted on all of its social media pages to try to get you encouraged and excited, running some nice crisp routes. The two players, though, that kind of seemed to catch for me were Monangai, the 7th round running back out of Rutgers, who really seems like, at the very least, seems and feels and looks like he's going to be a very professional running back. I know that one of the concerns that, the Bears had coming into this draft was to get an improvement at running back, and the board just didn't quite fall their way with any of their picks until they got Monangai in the 7th round. It does seem like Monangai, and from the reports that I'm reading from the beat guys, it does seem like Monangai is, for better or worse, he may not be somebody that's going to break any runs, but he will maximize whatever's available to him. If the hole is able to provide, if the running lane is able to provide you 5 yards, he's going to get 5. If it provides him 10, he's going to get 10. If it only is going to provide you 2, he's going to get the 2. He may not get more than that. He may not break away. He may not be able to turn a 4-yard gain into a 15-yard gain, but he's also not going to turn a 5-yard gain into a 2-yard loss or only a 1-yard gain. He is going to get whatever yards are there to be had, which I like seeing that. I like hearing that. He had praise for Bears running back coach Eric Bieniemy. Bieniemy, oh my goodness sake, he is going to be a darling for the hardcore, diehard football lifers this whole season. You want to talk about nose nonsense, in your face, just hounding the guys all weekend long. It'll be interesting to see how the vets respond to that. I think that'll be very interesting at that point. I think to see how the veteran running backs will respond to some of the Eric Bieniemy stuff. And then Ozzie Trapillo. What encouraged me with Trapillo was they were having him practice out of a left-hand stance, meaning that they are grooming and prepping and planning for him to be the left tackle. You know, one of the easy things that it's easy to forget that the Bears had 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. It's easy to, which means that you should be getting starters or starting caliber players with those picks, even though, all right, Trapillo was the 3rd guy that the Bears drafted overall. He was still in the 2nd round. He was still a top 60 draft pick. This is somebody that you should have high expectations for. I don't know that you can necessarily get a 10. I don't know if you can necessarily get a 10-year starter at left tackle out of the 2nd round, but I think Trapillo could very easily be an upgrade over what they currently have between Jones and Amagaji. I think that Trapillo could easily be an upgrade there, and we could see him in the starting lineup sooner as opposed to later. And if that's going to happen, it's going to be at left tackle. So I was encouraged to see that work. It's easy to get super excited and way overblown with the mini camp stuff. We got to keep all that in mind, but it's good to see him out there. Good to see him practicing. Good to see him doing the work and getting ready for the season. The other thing that's coming up in the NFL calendar, as it's already happened, is the NFL schedule is coming out. And in fact, the schedule is getting leaked. There are leaks everywhere. First of all, this is the one thing on the calendar that I really don't understand the hype. It's the schedule. Clearly, you guys, the only thing we're learning are the dates. We've known who the opponent. If you're a nerd like I am, I could tell you the opponents for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years if you give me a minute and let me map it out, because 14 of the 17 opponents are on a rotation. So you can map a lot of it out ahead of time if you so desire, if you want to. And the other 3 get determined the second the season ends, and sometimes even faster than that. The second the regular season ends, you know who your opponents for the following season will be. So I don't really understand, and I know I have this rant every single year that I do this show. So thank you. If you've heard this rant before, that means you're a regular listener. Thank you. I appreciate that. If this is your first time hearing it, This is a part of the schedule that it bothers me that they make as big of a deal out of the schedule as they do, because all we're really learning are the dates. All we're really learning is the order. We've known who the opponents are for months, but part of the schedule has been leaked. We know that the Eagles and the Cowboys will play in the first game of the regular season. The Bears are scheduled to go to Philadelphia, so it was possible that they would have played out there in Philly for the first game of the season. That did not happen. Okay, I'm not stunned by that. They will play the Eagles in prime time, though. Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, is when the Bears will make their trip out to Philadelphia. That will be spotlit in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I'll be honest, I'm not sure how they do that for Black Friday. I think that's typically an Amazon or an NFL Network kind of day. I'm working and I'm paying attention to hockey on Black Friday, but Black Friday hockey is some fantastic hockey. I'll put it that way. So, but the Bears will be taking part in the Black Friday football this year in Philadelphia. And we also saw get announced officially by the team that week 16, they will have a nationally spotlit game as well. It will be at home against the Packers, will be on Saturday, December 20th. So that's after the college football regular season and conference championship season is done, but before the bowl season really gets underway, the NFL takes over a couple of Saturdays there, and the Bears-Packers game will get featured there. Week 16. Obviously, they're thinking that there's going to be some playoff intrigue. Either one or both teams could very well be involved in the playoff hype and the playoff field at that point. And then it's worth spot. And let's face it, it's Bears Packers. It's one of those games that you can, when in doubt, that is easy to sell, very easy for the networks to sell, but that will be isolated. That will be in an isolated spot. I haven't seen what time slot it'll get. They typically do 3 games on the Saturdays. They'll do a noon, they'll do a 3:30, and they'll do a 7:15. Typically on the Saturdays. I have not seen what slot they're going to give it. They may not decide that until later too. They may not decide that at all. The one thing that does scare me with that is I hope that doesn't mean that they're gearing up for the Bears to play on Christmas. Christmas is a Thursday this year, and if you have the Bears play on Saturday, that can be an easy, putting you on Thursday. You're not just 3 days in between games, you're 4 days. It's a little bit closer. You can get in a little bit closer to a regular week that way. So I do worry that putting the Bears on Saturday, December 20th for week 16, I do worry that means that for week 17, what would be the final Thursday night game of the year, I hope they're not planning on putting the Bears into that one. I prefer to keep my Christmas as stress-free and as joyful as possible, and having to get myself lathered up for a Bears game, it just won't allow for that to happen. That is going to do it for our show here this week. Thank you once again to each one of our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order. They're still offering free shipping on all orders of $50 and above. Thank you all to Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Go to vitalapparel.com and use the promo code IESR, and you get 15% off of your order there. Thank you also to Seal the Deal Wax Seals. go to their website, iesportsradio.com/seal-the-deal-wax, because you still have to put things out in the mail, or sometimes you just want to be creative, and you can always then give it your stamp of approval, your own personal spiel, so that everybody knows that this did indeed come from you. Well, let Cecilia help you create that. Go to iesportsradio.com/seal-the-deal-wax seals for that. And of course, thank you to IE Sports Radio for providing the platform, not just for this show, but all the shows across the network. Be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Subscribe to YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Let them know that you subscribe because of this show, Chi-Town Weekly. We'll have some fun and interact that way. Thank you to everybody hanging out in the chat room with us tonight. Brian Francione, Larry B, the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio, Jess, Nancy Duke, Mike, Pat, my mom. Happy Mother's Day again to all the moms out there, and Ralph Calise. Thank you to everybody hanging out in the chat room, and thank you to everybody that was watching live tonight across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and to everybody listening on later on in the week live, or later on in the week on YouTube as a podcast. Thank you for making this part of your week. I really do appreciate it. Next week, we will break down the Bears' schedule. We will get caught up on baseball. We'll see what other fun things we can do all throughout the show as well. Until then, everybody have a great one. Enjoy all the Pope memes I have. I've been collecting some. We'll review some of those later. Have a great week, everybody.